Brains without hearts. Inside Israel's education system and its global lessons. When education builds intelligence but forgets humanity. By Mohammed Arslan. Why do some of the world's most advanced education systems produce brilliant minds, but not always compassionate hearts? In Brains Without Hearts, Mohammed Arslan takes a deep look at Israel's journey from a struggling nation to a global technology powerhouse. Step by step, the book explores how its schools, teachers, and national priorities created a culture of innovation admired worldwide. Yet behind that success lies a difficult question. What happens when education focuses on survival and achievement, but neglects empathy and human connection? Through honest analysis and thoughtful reflection, Arslan reveals how a society's curriculum, discipline, and fear can shape not only inventors, but also indifference. He invites readers to rethink what true progress means and how other countries can learn from both Israel's triumphs and its moral challenges. This short but powerful book shows that the future belongs not just to the smartest nations, but to the wisest, those who teach their children both how to think and how to feel. Introduction. Praise. Israel equals startup nation. Criticism. But a startup nation without compassion risks becoming a nation that values innovation over humanity.
Chapter 1. The first step. How Israeli kids learn to think different. Every country wants its children to grow up smart and successful. But in Israel, this goal starts very early. From the first day of kindergarten, children are trained to think, question, and solve problems. The teachers believe that even a 5-year-old can learn to explore the world like a little scientist. 1.1 Learning through play. In Israel, playtime is not just for fun, it's a way to learn. Kids build things with blocks, make simple machines, play puzzle games, and listen to stories that make them think. When a tower of blocks falls down, the teacher doesn't scold the child. She asks, "Why do you think it fell?" or "How can you make it stronger?" These small questions teach children that mistakes are normal. They learn that every problem can be solved if you keep trying. This is the first lesson of the Israeli system: never stop asking questions. 1.2 Being independent. Israeli children are also taught to speak up and make decisions. Teachers want them to share ideas, even if they disagree. When a child says, "I think this way," the teacher listens and asks, "Why do you think so?" This kind of freedom helps children become bold and confident. They grow up believing their opinions matter. Later in life, this attitude helps them start companies, invent new products, and take big risks. 1.3 Technology from the start. In many Israeli kindergartens, technology is part of daily learning. Children use tablets, coding games, and simple robots to understand how things work. They learn that computers are not just for playing, they are tools for creating. By the time they reach elementary school, many kids already understand the basics of logic, coding, and design thinking. These early lessons make the transition to science and math much easier later on. 1.4 No fear of failure. In Israel, children are not punished for trying and failing. If a project doesn't work, they simply try again in a different way. Teachers celebrate effort more than perfect answers. This builds a habit of never giving up, which is one reason many Israelis later become strong innovators and entrepreneurs. 1.5 Reflection. What about human values? While this system builds brave and smart children, it forgets something very important: empathy and kindness. From the beginning, much attention is given to logic, independence, and pride in their own identity. But there is no focus on understanding people from other backgrounds or countries. Children learn how to build robots and solve puzzles, yet they may not spend enough time learning how to understand another person's feelings. When a child grows up hearing mostly about their own group and not about others, they may learn to see the world as us and them. That thinking can follow them into adulthood. Every education system has strengths and weaknesses. Israel's way creates smart, confident thinkers, but every nation, including Israel, must also remember to teach compassion, respect, and love for all people, not just for their own group. A strong mind is powerful. A strong heart makes that power good.
Pace to Chapter or Chapter 2 Primary School, Building Young Problem Solvers. After kindergarten, Israeli children move into primary school, where learning becomes a little more serious, but still focused on discovery. The goal is not just to remember facts, but to understand how things work. These years, grades 3 to 6, are full of projects, experiments, and teamwork that build the base for a strong science and technology mind. 2.1 Learning by Doing. In Israel, teachers believe children learn best when they see things happen, not just when they read about them. So, science and math lessons are often hands-on. Instead of only reading about magnets, they play with them. Instead of just solving math problems on paper, they use real-life examples, like measuring water, counting food items, or building small bridges with sticks. This kind of learning helps students remember better because they connect lessons with real life. It also keeps them curious and excited about how the world works. 2.2 Teamwork and Sharing Ideas. From a young age, Israeli students work together on projects. They are taught that big ideas often come from teamwork, not from working alone. Children share their thoughts, debate, and help each other improve. Sometimes they even give short presentations in front of the class, learning to speak with confidence. This helps them become good communicators and leaders, a skill that later makes them strong in business and startup life. 2.3 Early Focus on Science and Computers. By grade 4 or 5, many Israeli students are already familiar with basic computer programming. Some schools use coding games or small robots to teach logic. Science lessons are full of small experiments and projects. Many schools also have after-school clubs for robotics, coding, and math competitions. Children compete in a friendly way, learning how to solve problems faster and smarter. These programs build excitement about technology, the same excitement that later produces many Israeli inventors, engineers, and computer experts. 2.4 Strong connection between teachers and students. Israeli teachers are not seen as strict authority figures. They often act more like mentors or guides. Students can ask questions freely and even disagree respectfully. This relaxed relationship helps children feel comfortable expressing ideas and trying new things without fear. 2.5 Reflection, the hidden lesson of separation. But while the education system encourages curiosity and teamwork, it also teaches children a strong sense of national pride, sometimes too strong. Textbooks and school discussions often focus mainly on Israeli history and achievements. There is little mention of the struggles of other people in the region, like Palestinians or neighboring communities. As a result, many children grow up feeling proud of their country, but also disconnected from the pain or problems of others. They learn how to build great machines, but not always how to build understanding between humans. When a system focuses mainly on winning, succeeding, and protecting our own people, it can accidentally plant a seed of division. A balanced education must teach both how to think smart and how to care deeply. Lesson for the world. Other countries can learn a lot from Israel's focus on early science, math, and teamwork. These methods can help children everywhere become future inventors. But while copying this success, schools around the world should also add moral education, peace studies, and lessons on global unity. Because the real goal of education is not only to create people who can change the world with technology, but people who can make that world kind, fair, and peaceful.
Chapter 3. Middle School, The Race for Excellence. By the time Israeli students reach middle school, learning becomes more focused and competitive. These are the years, grades 7 to 9, when children begin to discover what they're really good at. The goal of schools is to prepare them for advanced science, computer studies, and later, for national service or university life. At this stage, curiosity turns into discipline, and play turns into practice. Students start to think seriously about their future, and teachers guide them to work harder, aim higher, and never stop improving. 3.1 Serious learning begins. In middle school, students face tougher subjects like advanced math, physics, chemistry, and computer science. They learn how to think logically, write research reports, and complete group projects. Coding becomes a common subject. Students may learn programming languages such as Python or Java and take part in national competitions where they design apps, build small robots, or solve online coding challenges. This early exposure helps many Israeli teens feel confident in science and technology, a big reason why the country produces so many engineers and software developers later on. 3.2 Healthy competition and motivation. Competition is a big part of middle school life. Students take part in math Olympiads, robotics contests, and innovation fairs. The environment is full of energy and ambition. Teachers motivate students to push limits and represent their schools proudly. Winning competitions is seen as a symbol of success and national pride. Many students dream of creating something that will make Israel stronger or more famous around the world. This drive for excellence gives the country a powerful advantage. It creates teenagers who believe they can change the world. 3.3 Project-based learning and teamwork. Israeli schools also focus on group projects that encourage teamwork and leadership. Students are given problems to solve, such as designing a small energy-saving system or improving an existing product. They work in teams, assign roles, and present their results. This way of learning teaches not only technical skills but also communication and leadership. Everyone is expected to share ideas, argue respectfully, and defend their solutions. These experiences help young people grow into strong professionals who later become startup founders, managers, and innovators. 3.4 Reflection: the growth of pride and pressure. But there is another side to this story. As competition and success become the center of school life, many children start to believe that their value depends only on winning or being the best. This can create stress, pressure, and even arrogance. The constant focus on national pride and achievement also makes students see the world through a narrow lens. Our country must always win. Textbooks and teachers often talk about how Israel must stay strong, sometimes without discussing how others feel when that strength is used. When young people grow up hearing that their nation must always defend itself, they can develop a closed heart toward outsiders. They might see neighboring communities not as equals but as threats. This does not mean every child becomes unkind, but it shows how a powerful education system that builds strong minds can also build strong walls if it forgets to teach empathy and compassion. 3.5 Lesson for the world. Every country wants its young people to be the best, but middle school is the age when students also need lessons in peace, emotional intelligence, and understanding people who are different. If schools teach science and competition without teaching empathy, they may produce great inventors, but not great humans. The true goal of education should be to build both, a sharp mind and a soft heart. Chapter 4 High School: Shaping the Future Soldiers and Innovators. High school in Israel is not just about preparing for university, it's also about preparing for national service, discipline, and leadership. This is the time when education becomes serious, focused, and highly connected to the country's security and technology goals. By the age of 15 or 16, students begin to understand that after graduation, they will serve in the Israel Defense Forces, IDF. That knowledge changes how they study, think, and even behave. 4.1 Advanced and Specialized Learning. High school students in Israel choose specific tracks based on their interests and talents. Some focus on physics, computer science, biology, or engineering. Others may take courses in economics, art, or social studies. Technology and innovation remain at the heart of everything. Schools often have labs equipped with modern computers, 3D printers, and digital tools for students to experiment and build real projects. Many schools also work in partnership with universities or tech companies, allowing top students to visit research centers and get early exposure to real-world innovation. This system ensures that by graduation, many Israeli teens already think like young scientists or engineers, ready to join the next generation of startups. 4.2 National Service Mindset. At the same time, every Israeli high school student knows they are preparing for mandatory military service. Boys usually serve for about 3 years and girls for around 2. This upcoming duty is not seen as a burden, it's viewed as a responsibility and honor. Teachers, parents, and even classmates encourage each other to serve proudly. Military heroes are often invited to schools to speak, sharing stories of bravery and sacrifice. This builds a strong sense of national unity and discipline. However, it also shapes how students see the world, through the lens of us versus them. When a whole generation grows up believing that defending the homeland means constant readiness to fight, it becomes difficult to imagine peace as the first solution. 4.3 High School Projects, Technology Meets Defense. One unique thing about Israeli education is how it connects technology with defense. High school students often work on projects that support military or security goals, from cybersecurity training to drone design or AI-based defense systems. Some schools have partnerships with elite military tech units, such as Unit 8200, Israel's famous intelligence and cyber division. Students who show talent in coding or data analysis are often identified early and trained for these future roles. This early connection between education and defense is one reason why Israel is so advanced in high-tech and cybersecurity. But it also means that from a young age, many students see technology as a tool of control or power, not only as a tool for peace or cooperation. 4.4 The Hidden Cost, Pressure, Fear, and Emotional Distance. Behind all the success, there is also pressure to perform well, to serve with pride, and to never show weakness. Some students feel trapped between personal dreams and national expectations. Because the system is so focused on discipline and achievement, emotional education, kindness, understanding, and empathy often gets ignored. It's not that Israeli youth are born unkind, it's that their training teaches them to think first about survival, not about compassion. As a result, when they hear about suffering in other places, especially among Palestinians or neighboring nations, many react with coldness or denial. It's not always hatred, sometimes it's emotional numbness, created by years of being told that others are enemies. 4.5 Reflection. A generation of strength without softness. Israel's high school system deserves respect for how efficiently it builds young minds and leaders. It is one of the world's strongest examples of how education, technology, and national service can work together. But at the same time, it's fair to ask, where are the lessons about peace, humanity, and shared pain? Why do many graduates become brilliant scientists but emotionally distant citizens? Can a nation remain morally strong if it teaches intelligence without empathy? The truth is, strength without softness can make a nation powerful, but also feared. And the world today needs leaders who are not just smart, but also kind. 4.6 Lesson for other nations. Other countries can learn much from Israel's high school model, the focus on discipline, teamwork, and early exposure to real-world technology. But they should also add a human balance, teaching compassion alongside coding, and emotional intelligence alongside artificial intelligence. The future world will not only belong to those who can build machines, it will belong to those who can build peace with them.
Chapter 5, The Army, Turning Youth into Warriors and Tech Leaders. After finishing high school, every Israeli teenager steps into a new world: the Israel Defense Forces, IDF. This moment is seen as a proud transition from youth to adulthood. Military service is not optional, it is a national duty. Every young man and woman knows from childhood that this day will come. It's part of life, part of identity, and part of the story of Israel itself. 5.1 Discipline, Leadership, and Responsibility. From the very first day, new soldiers are trained to follow strict routines, early mornings, physical drills, group coordination, and respect for command. The goal is to build discipline, teamwork, and leadership qualities that later help many Israelis succeed in the business and tech world. Soldiers quickly learn that teamwork can save lives. They are taught to plan, think fast, and act with confidence even under pressure. These skills become deeply embedded and carry over into civilian life, especially in startups and technology companies, where decisions must also be made quickly and under stress. This is why so many Israeli CEOs and entrepreneurs later say, "The army taught me how to lead." 5.2 Technology and the military connection. One of the most remarkable things about Israel's military is how deeply it is connected to technology. The IDF invests heavily in intelligence, cybersecurity, drones, satellites, and AI-based defense systems. Many young soldiers are placed in special tech units, such as Unit 8200, Israel's famous cyber and intelligence branch. Here, they learn to hack systems, protect networks, analyze massive amounts of data, and develop new digital tools. These soldiers are barely out of high school, yet they work on some of the world's most advanced technology. After their service, many of them join or start tech companies bringing the same mindset, speed, and problem-solving skills they learned in the military. This is why Israel is often called the startup nation. 5.3 National pride and emotional hardness. Military life also strengthens national pride. Every soldier feels they are defending their country, protecting their people, and continuing the story of survival that has defined Israel since its creation. However, this pride comes with a cost. Years of military service can also make young people emotionally hardened. They are trained to see the world through a defensive lens, always ready for threats, always suspicious of outsiders. When soldiers spend their early adult years patrolling borders or controlling occupied areas, it changes how they see others, especially Palestinians. Many stop seeing them as humans with families and emotions, but as potential dangers. This mental training may protect the soldier, but it kills empathy, the ability to feel another person's pain. And once empathy dies, it becomes easier to accept violence as normal. 5.4 Obedience versus morality. Another challenge is blind obedience. The army teaches soldiers to follow orders even when those orders conflict with personal feelings. A soldier may see something wrong but stay silent because questioning a command can be seen as betrayal. Over time, this builds a culture where people stop thinking deeply about right and wrong, and start thinking only about duty and victory. Many Israeli adults who served in the army still carry this mindset into civilian life, believing that anything done for the country is automatically justified. This thinking can make it hard for society to admit mistakes or show compassion toward victims of its actions, like the innocent children killed in Gaza. 5.5 Reflection, training the mind but silencing the heart. There's no doubt that Israel's army shapes some of the world's most skilled, confident, and capable young people. They emerge as leaders, innovators, and problem solvers trained to stay calm, think smart, and achieve results. But at the same time, this training can silence the heart. When a nation's education and military systems focus only on strength, discipline, and defense and forget to teach empathy, compassion, and humanity, it risks losing its moral balance. Great technology and power mean nothing if they are used without kindness or fairness. 5.6 Lesson for the world. Every country can learn from Israel's model of turning military training into a source of innovation and leadership. But the lesson must be learned with wisdom and care. Discipline and technology should never come at the cost of humanity. The real challenge for the future is to build nations that are both strong and kind, capable of defending themselves without losing their sense of compassion. Because true power is not only in weapons or inventions, it is in the courage to care even when the world teaches you not to.
Chapter 6 From Soldiers to Startups, Building a Nation of Innovators. When Israeli youth finish their military service, most of them are only in their early 20s, yet already more mature, confident, and skilled than many people twice their age. After years of strict discipline, high-pressure tasks, and teamwork, they step into civilian life with a unique mindset: everything is possible. This mindset is one of the main reasons Israel became known as the startup nation. But behind this success lies a deep story, one that mixes brilliance, hard work, and sometimes a dangerous emotional numbness learned from years of conflict. 6.1 The transfer of skills. In the army, young soldiers learn how to solve problems fast, work in teams, and handle enormous responsibility. When they leave the military, they transfer these same skills into the business and technology world. They're used to long working hours, tight deadlines, and high pressure, conditions that are normal in startups. They also have experience managing projects, analyzing data, and using advanced technologies like drones, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity systems. So, when they enter civilian life, they already think like engineers and leaders, not beginners. This gives Israeli society a strong advantage: thousands of tech-minded young adults ready to build, invent, and innovate. 6.2 The rise of the startup nation. Israel now has one of the highest numbers of startups per capita in the world. From cybersecurity companies to medical tech and agriculture innovations, Israeli inventions have reached every corner of the globe. Major global companies, like Google, Microsoft, Intel, and Apple, all have research centers in Israel. Many of their top developers or team leaders are former soldiers who once worked in elite tech units such as Unit 8200. The country's culture encourages young people to take risks, experiment, and fail without shame, a perfect mindset for innovation. This is why Israel, despite its small size, competes with global tech powers like the US, China, and Japan. 6.3 Networking and brotherhood. Another reason Israeli startups succeed is the deep network created during military service. Soldiers build lifelong friendships and trust with their fellow service members. When they leave the army, they often start companies together or help each other find investors and partners. The shared experience of military life, the sense of loyalty, teamwork, and reliability, becomes the foundation of business cooperation. This tight-knit network makes Israel's startup ecosystem strong, fast-moving, and supportive. 6.4 But where is the heart? Yet, there's another side to this story. When a society builds its innovation on a military foundation, something human can be lost. Many young Israelis leave the army with minds trained to think strategically but not emotionally. They know how to design systems but not how to truly feel the suffering caused by those systems when used for harm. When these same minds build new technologies, they often don't ask deeper moral questions. How might this technology be used against innocent people? Will this invention make life better for everyone, or just for us? This lack of emotional awareness is a shadow that follows Israel's technological success. It creates a culture where innovation and morality rarely meet, where progress becomes more important than peace. 6.5 Reflections: Success and its silent price. No one can deny Israel's achievements in technology. The country turned its military experience into a global advantage, creating jobs, wealth, and global recognition. But the silent price is emotional isolation. A system that trains people to see the world as a battlefield can build powerful innovators, yet those innovators may struggle to build a compassionate society. When pride and competition replace humility and empathy, even great inventions can lose their soul. 6.6 Lesson for other nations. The world can learn much from Israel's journey, how discipline, teamwork, and education can transform a small country into a technological giant. But other nations must also see the warning sign: technology without humanity leads to imbalance. True progress is not only measured by the machines we build, but by the hearts we heal with those machines. If nations can combine Israel's energy and discipline with compassion, fairness, and empathy, they can create a future where technology serves humanity, not just national power.
Chapter 7, Global Power Through Technology, the World's Silent Dependence. In today's world, technology means power. And Israel, though a small nation, holds a surprisingly large share of that power. From advanced computer chips to cybersecurity systems, agricultural tech, and defense innovations, Israel's inventions quietly support much of the global system. Governments, armies, hospitals, and even smartphones depend in some way on Israeli technology. This has made Israel not just a startup nation, but also a tech superpower, one that even its critics cannot easily ignore. 7.1 The Web of Global Influence. Over the past few decades, Israeli companies have partnered with nearly every major Western nation. American banks use Israeli cybersecurity software. European governments rely on Israeli defense technology. Asian nations import Israeli agricultural systems to grow food in dry lands. Even countries that disagree with Israel politically still depend on its innovations. This has created a strange situation where moral criticism and technological dependence exist side by side. The world may condemn certain Israeli actions, but it cannot easily separate from Israeli technology. 7.2 Cybersecurity and surveillance exports. One of Israel's strongest exports is cybersecurity, the art of protecting digital systems from hackers. Thousands of Israeli companies develop tools to secure networks, banks, and governments around the world. But not all of these tools are purely defensive. Some, like the Pegasus spyware, have been used by authoritarian governments to monitor journalists, activists, and political opponents. This raises serious ethical questions. How did a nation known for innovation become a global supplier of digital surveillance? And why do so few countries question it even when they know these tools can harm human rights? The answer is simple: dependence. The same countries that criticize Israel for moral reasons still buy its technology because they need it. 7.3 Agriculture and medical innovation. In agriculture and healthcare, Israel's innovations are also life-changing. Drip irrigation, developed by Israeli engineers, has helped farmers across Africa and Asia grow crops in dry soil. Israeli hospitals and biotech firms lead in medical devices, cancer research, and rehabilitation technology. These achievements prove that the same system which builds military minds can also build life-saving technologies. It shows how discipline, research, and creativity can bring good to the world. But again, the question remains: if a nation can produce such healing technologies, why does it still tolerate or justify harm toward innocent civilians in conflict zones? The contradiction between technological compassion and political cruelty is at the heart of Israel's modern identity. 7.4 Global silence and selective morality. Many global leaders remain silent about Israel's human rights issues, not because they agree but because they depend. They depend on Israeli cybersecurity, weapons, and intelligence cooperation. This silence has become a global pattern where business and technology outweigh justice and humanity. The world criticizes loudly when small nations do wrong, but when a powerful technological country crosses moral lines, the world whispers. This silence teaches a dangerous lesson: that success can protect anyone from accountability. 7.5 Reflections, Innovation without conscience. Israel's influence shows how technology can reshape global power. A small country with limited land and population became stronger than many larger nations, not by weapons alone, but by controlling innovation. However, real greatness is not only about leading in science, it's about leading in ethics. If a nation teaches its children to invent machines but not to value lives equally, it risks creating a future where intelligence serves injustice. A nation that wants to be respected forever must not only be technologically advanced, but also morally awake. 7.6 Lesson for the world. Every developing country that dreams of following Israel's success story should learn this double truth. 1. Yes, education, innovation, and discipline can turn a small country into a global power. 2. But without compassion, this power can lose its soul. The goal is not to copy Israel completely, it is to learn wisely. Build schools that teach creativity and courage, but also respect for every human being. Create technology that protects, not dominates. Because the greatest nation will not be the one that builds the most powerful machines. It will be the one that uses power with mercy. Chapter 8, Universities, the factories of innovation and power. After completing military service, many young Israelis take the next big step: higher education. But in Israel, universities are not just places to earn degrees. They are factories of innovation, research hubs for the military, and gateways to the global tech market. From the outside, it looks like a simple academic system. But a closer look shows how deeply connected Israel's universities are to its defense and technology industries, forming a powerful triangle between education, army, and business. 8.1 Education after the army. Most Israeli students enter university later than in other countries, often at age 22 or 23, after finishing military service. By that time, they are already mature, disciplined, and have clear goals. They don't study just to pass exams, they study to build something real. This maturity gives them a huge advantage. They approach university life like professionals, not teenagers. They know how to manage time, handle pressure, and work in teams, skills learned in the army. Many also bring real technical experience from their service, especially those from cyber or intelligence units. So, when they study computer science, physics, or engineering, they already understand how their knowledge can be used in real-world systems, especially in defense. 8.2 Universities and military collaboration. This is where Israel's education system becomes unique. Universities such as the Technion, Israel Institute of Technology, Tel Aviv University, and Hebrew University of Jerusalem work closely with the army and government. They run joint research projects in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, robotics and drones, military medicine, data intelligence. Many of these projects receive funding directly from the Ministry of Defense. Students and professors often collaborate with military engineers and intelligence experts. On one hand, this partnership accelerates scientific progress, creating cutting-edge inventions that later benefit the civilian market. On the other hand, it blurs the moral line between learning to innovate and learning to dominate. 8.3 Technology that serves dual purposes. In Israel, a large portion of university research is dual-use technology, meaning it can be used for both peaceful and military purposes. For example, a drone designed for agriculture can also be modified for surveillance. A data algorithm for business analytics can also be used to track people. Medical technology for soldiers can be used on civilians during conflict. This duality is what makes Israeli innovation so powerful but also so ethically complicated. It shows how the same intelligence that heals can also harm, depending on how it's directed. 8.4 Funding and global reach. Israel invests heavily in education, but it also receives billions in global research funding. Many Western universities and tech giants partner with Israeli institutions for innovation and R&D, research and development. These partnerships help Israeli scientists stay at the front of world technology, but they also protect Israel's image internationally. Many foreign companies prefer to ignore the military ties behind the inventions because they profit from the results. So while global headlines may criticize Israel's actions in Gaza or the West Bank, universities abroad continue to sign contracts and exchange researchers because the technology is simply too valuable to lose. 8.5 The cost of unquestioned progress. Inside the classrooms, professors teach critical thinking and problem solving, but very few teach moral reflection. Students learn how to build robots, systems, and algorithms, but not how to question what those systems might do to others. Over time, this creates a generation of geniuses who can calculate everything except right and wrong. Some Israeli students themselves have started to question this. They ask, why are our brightest minds designing surveillance systems for checkpoints instead of hospitals? These voices are few, but they are growing. 8.6 Reflections, Knowledge Without Conscience. Israel's universities are among the best in the world in research and innovation. They produce Nobel Prize winners, tech entrepreneurs, and medical pioneers. But the system's deeper purpose often leans toward power, not peace. It teaches excellence but sometimes without conscience. When education becomes a tool of strategy rather than humanity, it may produce success, but it also produces moral confusion. And moral confusion, when mixed with intelligence, can be more dangerous than ignorance itself. 8.7 Lesson for the World. Every nation that dreams of building world-class universities can learn much from Israel's model, its discipline, innovation, and research focus. But they should not copy the blindness. Education should not only train the mind, it should awaken the heart. The goal of learning must be to improve life for all humans, not just for one side of a border. A true university is not just a factory of machines and ideas. It is a school of humanity where knowledge should be guided by compassion, not competition.
Chapter 9 Children of Conflict. How Fear and Education Shape Hearts. Every nation teaches its children who they are. In Israel, that teaching begins with a story of danger and survival. From kindergarten, many children learn that they live in a land surrounded by enemies. They hear stories of past wars, rocket alarms, and brave soldiers who defend the country. These lessons build strong loyalty, but they also plant fear deep inside young hearts. 9.1 Born in Conflict. The modern state of Israel was born out of war in 1948. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were forced to leave their homes, and their villages disappeared. Many Israelis grew up hearing one story, the story of national victory. Many Palestinians grew up hearing another, the story of loss. For children in both places, these stories became part of their identity. By the time they reach school age, most already know who the enemy is, even before they understand why. 9.2 Education in a Fortress. Israel's education system is one of the most advanced in the world when it comes to science, math, and technology. But behind that brilliance, there is another side, a heavy focus on security, defense, and national pride. Military service is not only a duty, it is an honor. From an early age, children see soldiers as heroes, tanks as protectors, and wars as something normal. Some Israeli schools even organize visits to military bases or invite soldiers to classrooms to tell stories about courage and sacrifice. These lessons can inspire confidence, but they also risk teaching that power and force are the main tools for safety. When children grow up hearing only one version of history, that we are always right and they're always wrong, empathy starts to fade. It becomes easy to see others, especially Palestinians, as threats instead of human beings. 9.3 Children who stop feeling. In recent years, news and social media have shown disturbing images of young people, even teenagers, celebrating military actions or showing no sadness over the deaths of Palestinian civilians. This doesn't mean all Israeli youth feel this way. Many don't, but it shows a deeper problem. When fear becomes normal, compassion becomes rare. A child who sees violence daily may stop reacting to it. Psychologists call this emotional numbness. It's a defense mechanism. The mind protects itself by turning off feelings. But when a whole generation grows up that way, society begins to lose its humanity. 9.4 Media, Internet, and Identity. Social media also plays a big role. Many Israeli and Palestinian teens grow up in echo chambers, online spaces where everyone thinks the same way. Hateful posts spread faster than kind ones. Memes and videos that mock the other side get likes and shares, while calls for peace get ignored. When digital life repeats the same divisions children hear at home and school, it becomes a mirror that reflects fear, anger, and pride back at them every day. 9.5 The other side of strength. Israel's leaders often say the country must stay strong to survive. That belief drives innovation, the reason Israel became a global high-tech power. But there's a hidden cost. A society that learns to protect itself so well may forget how to connect with others. True strength isn't just about weapons or software. It's about empathy, the ability to feel another person's pain. Without it, no nation, no matter how advanced, can lead the world morally. 9.6 Hope for change. There are Israeli parents, teachers, and peace groups who see this problem and try to fix it. Some schools invite Palestinian speakers. Some youth programs connect children from both sides to learn about each other's lives. These small efforts show that education can heal what politics has broken. If such lessons were expanded nationwide, teaching kindness, coexistence, and humanity alongside technology, Israel could become not only a leader in science, but also a leader in peace. 9.7 Lesson for the world. Every country that dreams of success should learn from Israel's story. Education that builds intelligence but ignores empathy creates citizens who are smart, but cold. Innovation without compassion builds powerful machines, but powerless hearts. The future belongs to nations that teach both, the science of progress and the art of peace.
Chapter 10 Rebuilding Humanity, a new model for future education. Every nation wants its children to be smart, creative, and successful. But success alone is not enough. When technology grows faster than humanity, the world becomes rich in machines but poor in mercy. The next generation of education must prepare children not only to build, but also to care. 10.1 Learning from Israel's Two Faces. The story of Israel offers two lessons to the world. The first lesson is about achievement, how a small nation can turn its challenges into innovation. Every school that teaches problem-solving, teamwork, and research can create thinkers and inventors. The second lesson is about emotion, how fear, conflict, and nationalism can quietly shape a child's view of others. When young minds learn that safety depends on defeating an enemy, empathy becomes weakness and compassion becomes delay. This is the danger every nation must guard against. 10.2 Step 1. Teach humanity as a skill. In most schools, empathy is treated as a feeling, something you either have or don't. But empathy can be taught and practiced, just like coding or math. Schools can include short daily lessons where students learn to listen, understand, and imagine life from another person's side. Storytelling, theater, and discussion circles can train emotional intelligence, the foundation of real leadership. A society that educates for empathy early produces adults who can manage conflict without violence. 10.3 Step 2. Connect science with ethics. Technology education should never stand alone. Every project in robotics, AI, or engineering should ask one question. How does this invention affect people's lives? Students should learn about the moral use of technology, privacy, fairness, and equality. This approach turns future engineers into responsible creators, not just inventors chasing profit or military goals. 10.4 Step 3. Build classrooms that reflect the real world. One of the strongest ways to reduce hatred is through shared learning. When students of different ethnic, religious, or cultural groups study together, fear disappears naturally. They learn to see each other as classmates, not enemies. Countries can promote exchange programs, online collaborations, and community projects that mix young people from different backgrounds. The classroom can become the first peace table. 10.5 Step 4. Replace fear with curiosity. Fear closes the mind, curiosity opens it. In countries living under conflict, schools often emphasize survival and security. But curiosity, asking why, instead of who's to blame, leads to deeper understanding. Teachers should reward questions, not only correct answers. A child who learns to ask honest questions grows into an adult who seeks peaceful solutions. 10.6 Step 5. Include mental health and emotional recovery. Children who grow up around violence, whether in Israel, Palestine, or anywhere, carry invisible wounds. Ignoring those wounds only continues the cycle of anger. Schools must include counseling, open talk, and safe spaces where young people can express fear and grief. Healing is part of education too. 10.7 A vision for the future. Imagine a generation of students who can build rockets, but also save lives, who can write code, but also write poetry for peace. This is the balance the world needs. If every nation adopts this kind of education, brains with hearts, progress with compassion, then we will have no need to fear the machines we create or the borders we draw. The most advanced nation in the future will not be the one with the best weapons or the fastest chips. It will be the one whose children see all human life as precious. 10.8 Final thought. Israel taught the world how to innovate under pressure. Now the world must teach itself how to love under pressure. If we can mix knowledge with kindness, then the next century will belong not to the smartest, but to the wisest. Chapter 11 Conclusion. Brains, Hearts and the Future. Every chapter of this book has told a part of one story. That a country's greatest resource is not oil, gold or land, it is the minds of its children. Israel showed the world what can happen when a small nation invests completely in education, science and technology. From this we can learn how focus, discipline and creativity can raise a people from scarcity to global influence. But the other side of the story reminds us that knowledge alone is not wisdom. When education is built on fear or mistrust, it can produce citizens who are clever yet cold. When national pride is taught without empathy, success can arrive hand in hand with distance and division. 11.1 What we can learn. 1. Teach both intellect and emotion. Every school should train problem solvers and peacemakers at the same time. 2. Keep history complete. Children deserve to know the full human story, their own and their neighbors'. Only then can they see why cooperation matters. 3. Use technology to heal, not harm. The same code that can guide a drone can also guide a medical robot. The choice is always moral, not mechanical. 4. Value empathy as progress. The most advanced societies will be those where compassion grows as fast as computing power. 11.2 A message to every nation. Every country has the chance to choose what kind of future it builds. If it copies only Israel's drive for innovation, it may gain power but lose peace. If it also learns from the pain of endless conflict, it can build a stronger, kinder generation, one that invents for life, not for war. 11.3 Final words. Education is the engine of a nation. Technology is its speed. But empathy is the steering wheel. Without it, progress runs wild and humanity loses its way. Let the next century be the time when the world learns to steer. Let every classroom, from the smallest village to the most advanced city, teach both how to build and why to care. That will be the true victory of knowledge, a future where brilliance and kindness walk side by side.